Back on the AT again at Max Patch, North Carolina-Tennessee border. Heading to Garenflo Gap and back for a grand total of 28 miles, 14 miles one way. Went to do a trail in Pisgah National Forest near my hometown in Asheville called the Lobe Trail. Some of you may have heard of it. It's a long distance trail of 30 miles, good for overnight or two. I've done it before with a friend last year. Went to do it again, kind of got nostalgic over it. Unfortunately, head to the northern terminus, the trailhead at Daniel Boone Campground, and I was going to hike southbound to my car at the Davidson River Campground, but sign said camping prohibited. So the National Forest over there in the Pisgah Ranger District opened it up for day use, but closed for camping all over Pisgah Ranger District. Here at Max Patch is also part of Pisgah National Forest, which is 500,000 acres in western North Carolina. But this is the Appalachian Ranger District. So this section is open. The ATC doesn't want people really through hiking on the AT right now, or using the shelters for that matter. I'm doing it overnight. Using my tent, my Big Agnes copper spur 2-person tent. And yeah, it's a great weather. It's going to be mid-70s today. Overnight I think it's going to be down in the upper 40s at the elevation I'm going to be at. But I'm going to try and go at least 15 or more miles, so I don't have as many miles to do tomorrow, since I'm just going out for the overnight. And yeah, it's going to be a great night, great weather. No forecast of rain. We had a lot of rain recently. Went hiking in the rain last week on day hikes, but this is going to be a good trip, so I'm going to really enjoy it. So I'll get back to you in a little bit. I'm going to try and make some miles. Getting off to a late start after 11. I think I can definitely push on and get in 15 or more miles before dusk. So I'll get back to you in a little bit. At the summit. 360-degree views. Very popular for a good reason. Great day to be up here. And I'm hiking this way, heading north. Zoom out a little bit. No, I'm not using my pole, my selfie stick. Just using my arm. So you have to excuse me if this shakes a little bit. I'll show you around a little bit. Let me turn it so you can see this view I'm looking at. It's awesome. Going through a rhododendron tunnel. I love these. It's friggin' awesome. Oh, mud. Look at that. Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? I don't know. It looks kind of dark on this bright sunny day. Yeah, this is cool. Just like nature made its own handiwork here. Natural engineering. Of course, I know that it's been cut down and maintained, but still it's cool to see the terrain features. Got mushrooms. Look at them. That's pretty cool. I need to get better with my identification of fungus species, but I would guess chicken of the woods, but I'm not certain, so maybe one of you could tell me. Check out this rotting tree right next to the trail. And look, there's the other half right there. In the green tunnel now. Moving right along. About 10 miles in. Almost at the top of Bluff Mountain. Not all that tough of a climb as I thought it would be when you look at the Gut Hooks map. It has some steep points, but all in all, I mean, it levels off once you get close to the top. But yeah, I mean, this is a great day. Having a good time. I've seen some people out here further out than I thought I'd see people. I didn't know how popular this stretch was. I know if there's through hikers, they've moved on well beyond this point by now. So I did see a group of 5 people at the Walnut Mountain shelter. They looked like they were settling down or just taking a long break. Anyway, it just seems like kind of a different vibe out here. You know, during this COVID pandemic, people just kind of, I mean, they've been friendly and cordial, like you would expect fellow hikers to be, but it's like, if they don't know you, they're wary of you. Which, I mean, it's good to be cautious. I'm not one to throw caution to the wind, but like I said, it just seems different. Maybe that's just because of all the hysteria in the news now with these riots going on. You know, I think that doing something like this, and now I'm going uphill so I'm breathing a little heavier. Doing something like this is a nice distraction from all the melancholy, of all the negativity in the news and certainly in our country right now. We're going through some tough times, but hopefully we'll move out of it in the near future. So anyway, check out this cool rock recess I found here on the trail. Kind of looks like a cave from further away. I mean, could probably shelter some small animals, snakes, rodents, maybe bear cubs. Yeah, it's pretty neat. Old AT symbol. Made it to the halfway point from Max Patch, Garenflo Gap. Last time I did this section from Hot Springs to Garenflo Gap, that was back in early March before I did my 116-mile section hike on the AT. So I'm back again, like I promised, to finish up the section. And now I'm going to head back to uphill, mostly uphill, to Bluff Mountain, where I'm going to find a campsite, another 4 miles or so. It'll be about an 18-mile day by the time I finish, maybe 19, close to 19. And then I'll just have 10 miles to finish the whole out and back hike here on the AT. Now that's a campfire. Sitting on my cozy campsite. Made over 20 miles today. I think it was 20.4. Yeah, 20.4. Everybody had all the good campsites. There's my tent. As I was coming back, past a group of people that had chosen one of the campsites that I wanted, and the girl laughed. She said, "Didn't we pass you earlier? Or didn't you go past us earlier?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "What are you doing, coming back?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Geez, how many miles have you gone? Where have you come from?" I said, "Garenflo Gap." And she's like, "How many miles is that?" I was like, 19 miles. She's like, "Geez." I was like, "Yeah, I'm pushing for 20," and ended up at 20.4. So before I found this nice campsite that I passed on my way out, I was like, I hope nobody's there. Sure enough, I have it to myself. And it's room enough for at least a couple tents over here at this gap. And you can fit a couple more tents down there. Of course, you can't see it in the dark, but you just have to take my word for it. Alright, so it's day 2. Got back on trail at 8 a.m. and hiking up a little incline here. Just left the Walnut Mountain shelter there. I didn't spend the night there, as you saw in my previous video. I was in my tent, just now passing that. That was 7/10 of a mile from where I camped. But I just wanted to say something about section hiking the AT versus through hiking. And what gets me is that section hikers don't seem to get their fair share of attention compared to through hikers. And that's fine. I mean, it would be more of a romantic notion to through hike any of the long distance trails in this country versus section hiking. However, not everybody has the time to take off work for 5 or 6 months at a time and head out to the trail. That's a big commitment and a big investment. So that's where section hiking is a good alternative. And I'm sure a lot of you would agree, who don't have that kind of time to commit, that you want to hike, you want to backpack the trail, and you don't know where to start. Well, I'd encourage you to look into section hiking. You could plan it out more strategically and knock out the miles in your own time and at your own pace, and still the same damn thing. It's just stretched out over a more lengthy period of time. Oh, this is pretty cool. I'm gonna pan around so you can see this view. Walking in this field here. Pretty nice. Anyway, yeah, so section hiking is easier on the budget too, because again, you could stretch it out, and you know, you don't have to spend $5,000-6,000, whatever it is. $8,000 is what I've heard on the higher end of doing the AT, the PCT, or the CDT. AT being the most popular of the long distance trails. Yeah, get out here and look into doing some section hikes. You know, my goal was to knock out the southern quarter of the AT by year's end. Now, knocking out this little section, which is actually only 14 miles, I will have knocked out the whole section from Davenport Gap to Grayson Highlands, Virginia. I don't remember the mileage on that, but I plan on doing on my next vacation in August, knocking out, I might do a couple of overnights to knock out some shorter sections there prior to my vacation if I have time. But what I want to do is I want to hike from Springer to Fontana, which is 167 miles in a 10-day stretch. Like I said, unless I do some overnights and knock out some mileage that way prior to my vacation. But anyway, that's just what I wanted to say, is I wanted to talk to people and let them know that you can get out here and section hike. I mean, I'm sure no matter where you live in the country, you live near one of the long distance trails. Look into doing that. That's what it's here for. Not everybody can be a thru hiker. Now, don't get me wrong, I'd love to thru hike. Like I said, I don't have that kind of commitment right now. I don't have that kind of time or free cash flow just to spend on something like that right now. I got other obligations. But if I had my choice, I mean, don't get me wrong, the AT is awesome, but I've lived on the East Coast my whole life. And when I went to California, I was just amazed at the scenery out there in Yosemite National Park, which the PCT runs through that national park. And I've seen plenty of videos on YouTube, and I'm just enthralled with that trail out there. I didn't actually do any sections of the PCT while I was there. I did several other trails in Yosemite, but that would be my choice for my first thru hike. One day, I plan on doing something like that. AT, it's always going to be here. I live here in Western North Carolina, so that's why it's convenient for me to get on, knock out these miles here in the southern quarter, because I mean, all these trailheads to the AT are within a couple hours drive of my home in Nashville. And if I want to do the northern sections, I mean, I could knock out the Pennsylvania section when I visit my relatives up there at some point in time. I could knock out miles in between Pennsylvania and Virginia, and I could head up north and do the New England states, you know, time permitting. But right now, this is my focus, just knocking out this southern quarter section. And, you know, that's what I would highly encourage others to look into. So I've said enough.